After the epic battle that Verstappen had with Leclerc at Jeddah, most F1 fans were hoping for more of the same in Australia, given the track was modified to allow for more overtaking opportunities between drivers. But bad luck would come and visit Red Bull again, as they would take another blow in Australia with another DNF for Max. So what is going on at Red Bull? Are they starting to show that they have more chinks in their armour than they would want to admit? Stick around to find out. I'm Archer from DRS Zone, and Max Verstappen had a subpar performance during the practice sessions earlier in the week, finishing P7. But Verstappen and Red Bull would get their bearings together so the Dutch driver could squeeze out a P2 in qualifying ahead of Sunday's race. But even though he would have a front row seat in the race, Verstappen would admit that the car felt a little bit off compared to the one he drove in Jeddah, and in an interview after the qualifying session he would say, "Yeah, not good. I didn't really feel good in the car the whole weekend. So far, I think there's not been one lap where I actually felt confident. So, bit of a struggle. Of course, second is still a good result, but yeah, just not feeling that great to go to the limit, so we'll try to analyse that." If you were just as surprised as we were as to what happened to Verstappen in Australia, then why not subscribe to DRS Zone now for daily F1 coverage? Helmut Marko, Red Bull's head of driver development, would chime in as to say what he thinks the car needed to improve on ahead of Sunday's race. Helmut would go on to say in an interview, "At the moment we are losing too much time to Ferrari in the last sector. Sainz is 8 tenths ahead of Max. We have to think about lowering the top speed a bit and focus more on downforce." Race day in Australia arrived and Verstappen would maintain his second place standing through the majority of the race, with Leclerc maintaining pole. The two would keep this order through 2 yellow flags caused by Aston Martin's Sebastian Vettel and Leclerc's teammate Carlos Sainz. Once Vettel's car was cleared out of the way, Verstappen would make a move on Leclerc as he would always do on restarts, but wasn't able to hold on to the lead. Leclerc would increase his lead on Verstappen, and by the end of the 38th lap, the difference between the two was about 8 seconds. And at turn 2 of lap 39, Verstappen could be heard saying, "I smell some weird fluid, everything is shitting itself." From there he would be told by his race engineer to pull over to the side and shut the car off. Sky F1 pit lane reporter Ted Kravitz would later on relay information that Red Bull doesn't have any clue as to what happened to Verstappen's car and doesn't expect to find out until Tuesday when they get the car back to Milton Keynes, their factory in the UK. On the brighter side for Red Bull, this wouldn't be a double retirement, as Sergio Perez would inherit Verstappen's place on the grid and cruise to a podium finish, ending up in P2. This DNF for Verstappen would cost him and his team valuable points both in the Constructors and Drivers' Championship. As we speak, Verstappen has now fallen back to 6th in the drivers' standings, behind Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton, and in the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull is now 3rd, 10 points behind Mercedes and 49 behind Ferrari. Verstappen would air out his frustrations in the post-race interview, saying, "We're already miles behind, I don't even want to think about the championship fight at the moment, it's more important just to finish races. Today was in general just a bad day again. Not really having the pace, I was just managing my tyres to bring it to the end. It looked like quite an easy P2 anyway, so there was no point trying to fight Charles. I know there was a problem, it was always going to be a question mark finishing the race, but these types of things, if you're fighting for the title, cannot happen." Horner too would share the same sentiment as Verstappen when asked about what he thinks went wrong with Verstappen's car. It's understandable his frustration, there was a disappointing result not to finish the race, I don't think it's engine related, it might be a fuel issue. Until we get the car back we just don't have the data or info. The key phrase in what Horner said was, "It may be a fuel issue." If you guys can recall when Horner was asked about in Bahrain what he thought the problem was, he also said that it might be to do with something of the fuel systems of the car. While F1 personalities are great at keeping things very vague and secretive, can this be proof that Red Bull still hasn't figured out what caused their problems back in Bahrain and now are having the same problem again in Australia? Don't forget to like and subscribe to DRS Zone.